Life to rise into. You gave your best. You showed up with honesty, loyalty, and love that didn't need a spotlight to shine. While they played games, you stood solid. While they calculated, you cared. You weren't perfect, but you were real. And that's the part they couldn't handle. We live in a world that often mistakes purity for weakness and consistency for naivety. But the truth is, it takes mental strength to love without manipulation. It takes spiritual discipline to stay kind in a world that rewards coldness. You planted love deep, rough, vulnerable love. And in return, they gave you betrayal. They turned your openness into ammunition. They took your loyalty and used it as leverage. And then, when the damage was done, they walked away like nothing happened. But here's the thing most people don't understand. Just because someone leaves you shattered doesn't mean you were broken to begin with. It means you were holding more than they had the strength to carry. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because your emotional depth exposed their emotional emptiness. You didn't scare them, your authenticity did. Let that sink in. Now maybe you've asked yourself, why did they do it? How could they lie and still smile? Why does it seem like they're thriving while I'm stuck in pain? And here's where emotional intelligence kicks in. They're not thriving, they're pretending. They're not at peace, they're distracting. They're not healed, they're avoiding. You see, there's a type of person who doesn't feel regret until it's silent, until the applause fades, until the followers move on, until the dopamine hits from fake validation no longer cover the noise inside. And that's when karma knocks. Karma isn't some mystical punishment system. It's the law of alignment. It's the universe's way of restoring mental order. What you plant, you grow. And if you plant betrayal, disloyalty, manipulation, don't expect to harvest peace. They planted betrayal in soil that was meant to grow love. They thought they were clever, but the truth is, they were just short-sighted. They were playing games in a life that plays long-term. And the universe, it plays long. It collects receipts and delivers results. You don't have to interfere. You don't have to wish them harm. You don't have to get revenge. Why? Because when you operate with self-worth, when you lead yourself with executive mindset, you realize something powerful. Your healing is their consequence. Your peace is their karma. Your silence is louder than any revenge you could scream. They may never admit what they did. They may rewrite the story, twist the truth, and perform for the world like nothing happened. Let them, because karma doesn't need a confession. It works in silence. It waits until the mask cracks, until the mirror shows them what they truly became. And when that moment comes, it hits harder than anything you could have planned. So what do you do now? You rise. Not for them, not to prove anything, not to win, but because staying stuck in what they did is a slow form of self-destruction. You choose to heal. You let their betrayal become your boundary. You stop mourning people who were never built to handle your depth. And most of all, you forgive not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the betrayal. It doesn't let them back in. It just means you're done carrying their weight. It means you're choosing to live in the present instead of bleeding in the past. Let this be your moment of transformation. Let their exit be your entrance into a life filled with higher standards, deeper peace, and inner clarity. Because the truth is, when they walked away, they didn't break you, they freed you. They removed themselves from a table they never knew how to sit at. And now, you get to rebuild. You get to grow. You get to surround yourself with people who don't just tolerate your love, they honor it. And as for them, let life handle it. Because karma never misses. And one day, they'll feel the weight of what they lost, not because you told them, but because silence always delivers the loudest truth. On the surface, they look like they're winning. They're smiling on social media. They're posting their highlight reels. They're surrounded by people, lights, noise as if nothing ever happened. And you wonder, how can someone hurt others and still seem so blessed? But remember this, not everything that glitters is gold, and not every smile is peace. We live in an era that rewards performance more than character, where people chase likes more than they chase truth. But just because someone looks like they're moving forward, doesn't mean they actually are. They may look like they're flying, but internally, they're falling apart. And karma is not instant. Karma is precise. You see, when someone plants poison lies, betrayal, manipulation, cruelty, they might not feel the consequences right away, but that doesn't mean the seed isn't growing. It's just growing roots first. You don't throw mud and come out clean. You don't deceive and expect truth to protect you. You don't betray those who loved you and think you'll rise with no scars. And still, some people believe they can trick life. They think they can skip steps, hurt people, burn bridges, and still reach the mountaintop. But life doesn't work that way. The Stoics knew this well. It is impossible to live a good life unless one is wise, brave, and just. Marcus Aurelius. The universe is not a fool. It is patient. It is strategic. It is built on laws of balance, energy, and truth. So when someone is planting destruction behind closed doors and flaunting success in public, don't be fooled. You're seeing the trailer, not the full movie. The ones who hurt others and walk away smiling are not at peace. They're running not forward, but in circles, chasing new people to impress, new highs to escape the old guilt. And the further they run, the heavier it gets. Because guilt has a funny way of catching up in silence. Not during the day when the world's loud, but at night, when it's just them, their choices, and a voice they can't mute. The voice that says, you lost someone real. You betrayed what was pure. You burned something sacred for temporary validation. That voice, that's not your revenge. That's their lesson. And it's louder than anything you could ever say. So what do you do while they perform? You stay focused. You don't measure your healing by their timeline. You don't trade your peace for performance. You build, slowly, silently, with self-awareness and mental resilience. Because here's the truth, most people miss. Real success is quiet. Fake success screams. The more someone needs to prove they're okay, the less okay they probably are. And the more someone truly heals, the less they feel the need to announce it. You don't need to show off when you've got clarity. You don't need applause when you're living with purpose. You don't need revenge when you're chasing long-term success, built on emotional intelligence and self-discipline. While they post, you practice. While they perform, you prepare. While they chase noise, you cultivate peace. And one day, when life delivers its truth, because it always does, they'll remember you. Not the version they lied about, but the one who stayed solid when they crumbled. The one who didn't clap back but climbed forward. And by then, it'll be too late. Not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the place they left you in. So let them shine for now. Let them enjoy their moment. But remember, real light doesn't fade. It grows stronger in darkness. And when karma returns, it won't send a warning. It will walk through the door, rearrange the whole room, and whisper, "Remember what you planted." That's when they'll realize you didn't lose anything. They did. They lost someone who had emotional depth, who walked with dignity, who embodied spiritual truth in a shallow world. Let them pretend they're winning. You're playing the long game, and the long game always wins. Let's get one thing straight. Karma is not your personal hitman. It's not there to serve your anger, your pride, or your pain. It's not about watching someone crash so you can finally feel better. That's not karma. That's revenge. And revenge belongs to the emotionally reactive, not the mentally elevated. Karma is a law. Like gravity, like time. It doesn't care about your opinions, your feelings, or your fantasies. It simply delivers. It brings balance to imbalance, truth to deception, stillness to chaos. And when it moves in silence, not out of spite. You see, most people confuse justice with retaliation. They want others to hurt the way they were hurt because it feels fair. But the Stoics knew better. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Why? Because the moment you step into revenge, you step out of your power. You start living on their terms. You let their actions define your future. You tie your peace to their pain, and that's no peace at all. True emotional intelligence means knowing that not every injury deserves your attention, and not every betrayal needs a response. It's the strength to rise when everything inside you wants to swing. It's the wisdom to wait not for karma to punish, but for you to grow. Let's say it clearly. You don't need to be the instrument of karma. Life doesn't need your help balancing the scales. It doesn't need your screenshots, your clapbacks, or your carefully rehearsed arguments. Why? Because life is already keeping score. The universe doesn't forget. And spiritual law is more precise than any human strategy. The person who betrayed you, they're not off the hook. They're on a journey that will reveal their truth in time. It may not happen on your schedule, but it will happen with exact timing. The moment they've convinced themselves that they've won, karma arrives with a mirror. And in that mirror, they won't see the mask. They'll see their choices, raw and exposed. And while they're unraveling in silence, you are rising in clarity, in dignity, in truth. Because here's what makes karma so powerful. It's not loud. It doesn't announce its arrival. It just rearranges everything. The fake confidence, gone. The distractions, hollow. The followers, silent. The fake peace, cracked. And when they look around and realize they've been surrounded by illusions, that's when the real lesson begins. Not from you, from life. That's why you don't need to chase anything. Not apologies, not explanations, not even justice. Because what you're really chasing isn't punishment, it's closure. And closure isn't something you get from others. It's something you give yourself the moment you choose to move on without needing to be proven right. That's mental freedom. That's spiritual maturity. That's inner power. Imagine how much more energy you'll have when you stop scripting fake conversations in your mind. Stop checking on people who no longer deserve access to your life. Stop measuring your worth by how much someone regrets losing you. You weren't born to hold grudges. You were born to grow. You weren't designed for drama. You were designed for legacy. And legacy isn't built on petty revenge. It's built on discipline, vision, and the courage to take the high road, even when it's lonely. So what should you do? Keep your energy clean. Keep your hands off the wheel of karma. Keep your eyes forward. The more you stay aligned with your values, the more karma moves without you needing to lift a finger. Because the ones who betray others, they carry the weight of their own dishonesty, and it gets heavier with time. And the ones who walk in truth, they carry a lightness that no lie can touch. So let them fall without your help. Let them regret without your permission. Let them crash without your control. Because you've got better things to do than wait for someone to feel what they made you feel. You've got peace to protect. You've got a high-performance mindset to master. You've got long-term growth to pursue. You don't need karma to get them. Karma was never about them. It was always about bringing balance back to you. Let's be honest. There are moments in life when injustice feels loud and karma feels silent. You look around and you see them thriving, posting, smiling, celebrating, as if nothing ever happened. And meanwhile, you're healing in silence, rebuilding your confidence, trying to understand how someone can cause so much damage and walk away untouched. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people forget. Just because you can't see the storm doesn't mean the sky isn't about to break. Just because someone hasn't crashed yet doesn't mean they're not speeding toward the wall. Karma isn't always instant. In fact, it rarely is. Why? Because instant consequences create shallow lessons, but delayed consequences, they teach in ways no punishment ever could. And karma doesn't deal in quick fixes. It deals in deep correction, in spiritual alignment, in life recalibration. That's why it takes time. It waits. It watches. It studies the soul. And when it moves with precision, not to destroy, but to awaken. Now think about this. The people who betrayed you, who lied, who walked away, they may look like they're winning right now, but they're not running forward. They're running in circles. They're trapped in a cycle they can't name, haunted by decisions they won't admit. And that's the most terrifying part, because the real storm of karma is internal. It's not a car crash. It's not public humiliation. It's waking up next to success and still feeling empty. It's having followers but no real friends. It's sleeping beside someone new and still dreaming about what they lost. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants results now, revenge now, justice now, But karma doesn't move on your clock. It moves on divine timing. And just because you're not seeing the impact doesn't mean it's not building that. Some folks are walking through sunshine with a hurricane forming behind them. And when it hits clean. No theatrics. No explosions. Just clarity. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that rearranges the way they see themselves forever. That's why patience is a power move. When you let go of needing to witness their downfall, you level up. You shift from emotional reactivity to mental discipline, from obsession to clarity, from pain to purpose. You stop needing to see it happen because you know it will. You stop refreshing their pages, wondering if they're suffering because you realize their life isn't your business anymore. That's when karma really starts working. When you're no longer attached to its timeline. You see, a Stoic doesn't just trust logic, he trusts cause and effect. He understands that reality has structure and no one escapes the consequences of what they sow. Seneca once said, "Time heals what reason cannot." And I'll add this, time also reveals what pride tries to hide. No mask survives forever. No lie outlasts the truth. And no betrayal stays hidden once the mirror finally appears. So next time you wonder if karma is still working, remember this: the universe doesn't miss. It's just exact. It's just wise. It's just not in a hurry because it knows when the truth shows up late. It lands harder. And it always arrives when they least expect it. Not to punish, but to reflect. Not to harm, but to correct. Not for your entertainment, but for their awakening. Your role in this process: stay still, stay clean, stay aligned. Because when you focus on your peace, you no longer need their pain. You've outgrown the chapter where their karma was your concern. Now, you've stepped into executive clarity where your energy is reserved for purpose, growth, and real connections. So if you're not seeing justice yet, if it feels like the wrong people keep winning, relax. It's not over. It's just not visible yet. But when it arrives, and it will, it won't come with fanfare. It won't ask for permission. It will simply enter the room. Unseen, unstoppable, and unmistakable. That's karma. And it never misses. They walked away. But they didn't walk away clean. They lied. They betrayed. They chose ego over honesty, silence over truth, power over love. And yet, from the outside, they seem fine. But here's what no one tells you. They didn't just lose you. They lost something far more valuable, and most of them won't realize it until it's far too late. See, when someone walks away from a real one, they think they're gaining freedom. What they're actually losing is spiritual security. You were their mirror, reflecting their best self back to them. You were the one who showed up with unfiltered love, loyalty, and mental stability. But they mistook that energy for weakness. They thought they could trade it in for something more exciting, more shiny, and they couldn't have been more wrong. Because what they gave up wasn't just a person. They gave up a foundation. They gave up the rare kind of presence that's only built through emotional intelligence and deep soul work. Now, don't get it twisted. They might look like they've moved on. They might smile in photos. They might post like they're thriving. But inside, they feel the loss. Not all at once, but in waves. It hits them in the quiet moments. It creeps in during the small silences, the ones that follow the party, the post, the applause. When they lie in bed at night and the room is still, that's when your absence echoes the loudest, because you weren't just love, you were clarity, consistency, truth. You were the one who stayed solid in a world full of shifting masks. They'll feel it when they try to connect with someone new, but the connection is surface level, transactional, hollow. They'll miss the way you read between their words, the way you felt their energy shift before they even said a thing, the way you loved them without keeping score. That wasn't ordinary. That was spirit-level loyalty. That was rare. And the more they search for it in others, the more frustrated they become, because no one else offers what you did: peace, depth, emotional grounding. Here's what's wild: they won't say it out loud. They won't post about it. They'll even convince themselves that it wasn't that deep. But regret has a strange way of working. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It leaks into the cracks of their confidence. It erodes their executive mindset from the inside out. They start questioning their choices, not publicly, but in the mirror. And that mirror, it never lies. Because while they thought they were leveling up, they were actually stepping down from a place of truth into a space of ego. They didn't upgrade. They downgraded from a spiritual connection to an emotional distraction. And here's the hardest part to accept: they might never say they're sorry. Their pride won't allow it. Their ego will rewrite the story so they can sleep at night. But the subconscious doesn't lie. It remembers everything. And when life eventually humbles them, when their games don't work, when their manipulation falls flat, when their new circle doesn't feel like family, they'll remember you. Not for how much you loved them, but for how deeply they betrayed it. Let that sink in. They lost more than your presence. They lost access to realness in a world full of fakes. They lost the one person who would have stood by them, even in the storm. And here's what you need to understand: that loss was their choice. Your healing is yours. You don't have to chase closure. You don't have to wait for an apology. You don't even need them to know what they lost, because you know what you gave. You gave truth. You gave light. You gave presence. So let them perform. Let them pretend. Let them smile through the emptiness. That's not your business anymore. Your focus now is forward. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not broken, you're becoming. You're not waiting, you're rising. Because the most powerful comeback isn't revenge, it's peace. And that's the one thing they can't fake, can't buy, and can't steal from you. You didn't lose. They did, and they'll realize it. Right when karma taps them on the shoulder and whispers, "You lost the rarest soul you ever touched, and you'll never touch it again." Let's get something straight. Karma is not punishment. It's not vengeance. And it's definitely not some mystical hitman waiting in the shadows with a grudge. Karma is precision. It's alignment, not anger. A divine balancing system, built into the very structure of the universe, like gravity, like cause and effect. It doesn't seek to destroy. It seeks to restore. And the most dangerous misunderstanding people have is this: they think if they don't get caught, they've gotten away with it. But what they fail to understand is the universe is always keeping receipts. when someone betrays a person of integrity, when they lie to someone with emotional intelligence, when they manipulate someone whose love was pure, that ripple is recorded, not just in energy, but in consequence. It may not hit tomorrow. It may not hit next month. But when it comes, oh, it lands with surgical accuracy, because karma doesn't react emotionally like humans do. It moves with spiritual discipline. It's never early, never late, only perfectly timed to expose, to humble, to realign. Here's the Stoic truth. No one escapes their own seeds. You can't sow betrayal and expect loyalty. You can't plant manipulation and expect love. You can't water greed and expect gratitude. It doesn't matter how well someone hides. You can curate your feed. You can smile for the crowd. But you can't outrun universal law, because karma doesn't care about aesthetics. It's not fooled by your followers. It doesn't respond to performance. It responds to energy. There's a reason people feel off, even when their life looks good. They're financially stable, socially admired, seemingly successful, but inside, a growing weight, a tightening in the chest, a persistent feeling of unease. That's not anxiety. That's alignment breaking down. It's the internal system alerting them, you're out of integrity, and the cost is rising. Now let's go even deeper. Karma isn't just about payback. It's about education. Life's goal isn't to destroy people. It's to teach them. And when someone refuses to learn through grace, life teaches them through loss. When they reject humility, life gives them humiliation. When they mock loyalty, life isolates them, not to hurt them, but to reveal them, because pain is the tuition for lessons ignored. And here's the brutal beauty of it. You don't have to teach the lesson. You don't have to interfere. You don't have to lower your vibration to make them pay. You just have to step back and let alignment do its work. Now let me speak to your soul for a second. You're not crazy for feeling the shift. You're not overthinking. You're not bitter. You're witnessing a universal law unfold. You are the silent observer of a cosmic equation resolving itself one choice at a time. And as you watch it happen, your job is not to clap, mock, or celebrate their downfall. Your job is to remain grounded, to keep your peace, to continue choosing integrity over impulse, purpose over pride, forgiveness over control, because that is real strength. Karma doesn't hit hardest when it's loud. It hits hardest when it's undeniable, when the same games they played now get played on them, when the same lies they used are used against them, when the people they chose over you betray them. That's not revenge. That's the mirror. And karma always holds the mirror steady. So stop watching their timeline. Stop checking if they got theirs yet. Because the longer karma takes, the more precise the return will be. It's not late. It's loading. And in the meantime, keep your soul clean. Keep your work high quality. Keep planting peace, love, and truth. Because while karma delivers their return, life is preparing your reward. And when it comes, it'll be so beautiful, so undeniably aligned. You'll be glad they left, because if they hadn't, they would have blocked the blessing. Regret doesn't wear a name tag. It doesn't knock at the door. It doesn't post status updates, but it shows up, always, not with fire, not with noise, but in quiet moments. When the world finally shuts up, and the only voice left is the one they've been avoiding, their own. They thought they got away with it. They thought leaving you, lying to you, ghosting you would be the end of the story. But what they didn't know is you don't have to fall apart for karma to begin. Sometimes, the real consequence is watching you rise. Let's get brutally honest. They'll never post their punishment. You won't see regret on their Instagram. You won't see "I messed up" in their captions. You won't hear it in their laughter at parties. But it lives in their silence. It lingers when the lights go out and the audience is gone. It shows up in the mirror when they see a version of themselves that traded authenticity for attention, truth for ego, you for temporary validation. Regret is the storm that looks like calm on the outside. It's the pause in their scroll when they see your progress. It's the ache in their chest when they realize you did what they thought you never would. You healed without them. And that's the punishment they never saw coming. You see, they don't regret leaving right away. They regret it slowly. It creeps in when fake friends fall apart. It whispers when they're surrounded by people who only want something from them. It haunts them when they lay next to someone new and still feel empty. Not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't ready for someone so real, so grounded, so filled with emotional intelligence and moral depth. Here's the paradox they live with. They miss you, but they'll never say it. They know they lost something sacred, but pride won't let them admit it. They wish they could turn back time, but their ego keeps rewriting the story. So instead of apologizing, they perform. They post louder, laugh harder, pretend longer. But inside, a vacuum. A quiet knowing that they destroyed something irreplaceable. And while they wrestle with that echo, what are you doing? You're rising. You're building. You're developing high-performance habits. You're anchoring yourself in spiritual discipline. You're creating a life so aligned with peace, purpose, and truth, their absence becomes irrelevant. You've stepped into rooms they were never meant to walk in. And they know it. They feel it. They see it from the sidelines, pretending not to care, while silently wondering, what would have happened if I hadn't messed that up? Here's a powerful truth. Their regret is not your closure. You don't need their confession to move forward. You don't need their apology to find inner peace. You don't need their "I was wrong" to reclaim your power, because their silence is louder than any words could be, and your progress is the response they never expected. Now lean into this. Their regret doesn't hit all at once. It builds. Every milestone you hit, every glow-up, every time you shine without trying, it adds weight. Not because you're punishing them, but because life is showing them you mishandled something sacred. And when life teaches, it doesn't negotiate. It doesn't whisper. It roars in their own voice, in their own memories, in their own loneliness. Let me be clear, you're not their punishment. You are their lesson. And the most powerful lessons don't come in pain, they come in absence. When the one who was real, loyal, and grounded is no longer available, that's when the mirror appears. Not a mirror for vanity, but a mirror for truth. And in that reflection, They see the damage they caused, not just to you, but to themselves. So don't look back. Don't stalk their stories. Don't wait for the moment when they finally realize, because they already have. They just don't have the courage to face it. And honestly, that's not your problem. You're too busy living, too busy growing, too busy becoming the person they were never meant to join on this journey. Let them wrestle with regret. Let them carry the weight of their choices. Let karma deliver the echo they can't ignore. And you keep walking toward your light. Because regret is loud, but your peace is louder. Let's make one thing clear from the start. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's not letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is how you take your power back. It's how you stop bleeding for a wound someone else inflicted. It's how you release yourself from the emotional prison where their betrayal still holds the keys. And most importantly, forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. Some people think forgiveness means letting someone back in. It doesn't. Some think it means pretending it didn't happen. It doesn't. And some think it means they win. It absolutely does not. Forgiveness is a high-performance decision. It's emotional intelligence in motion. It's you refusing to allow bitterness to rent space in your mind where peace is meant to live. Let me put it this way: you can't carry the burden of someone else's betrayal and expect to run toward your destiny at full speed. You can't climb the mountain of purpose while dragging the dead weight of resentment. Eventually, it will break you, not because you're weak, but because you're not meant to carry what isn't yours. Here's what the Stoics knew, and what too many people today forget: to forgive is to be free. To hold on is to be chained, not to them, but to the past. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who caused the injury." Read that again. This is not about getting even. It's about rising above. It's about showing the world no. Yourself, that their darkness won't define your future. But don't misunderstand. Forgiveness is not passive. It is fiercely intentional. It's looking your pain in the eye and saying, "I'm not denying you. I'm just not letting you rule me anymore." It's choosing to sever the spiritual contract that bound you to their bad decision. It's saying, "I may not have deserved the betrayal, but I absolutely deserve the peace that comes when I let it go." You may never get the apology. You may never hear, "I'm sorry." You may never receive closure. But guess what? You don't need it. Why? Because your peace doesn't require their permission. Let them live in denial. Let them rewrite the story. Let them pretend they were the victim. Your healing doesn't wait for their awareness. Forgiveness is how you stop playing reruns of the same painful scene every night in your mind. It's how you stop being the hostage of what someone else did and start being the author of what you do next. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean ignoring. It means reclaiming your energy and redirecting it towards something that actually matters. Your purpose, your growth, your new standard of living. Some people will never evolve enough to acknowledge what they did. Some will convince themselves it was all your fault. Some will mock you, lie to you, and rewrite history until they can live with themselves. Let them. Your job is not to fix their story. It's to walk away from it. Because the longer you stay tied to the pain, the longer you delay your power. Here's a truth that will set you free. Forgiveness doesn't make you soft. It makes you strategic. It keeps you mentally sharp, emotionally resilient, and spiritually elevated. It frees up your mental real estate so you can operate at your highest level as a leader, a visionary, a human being aligned with purpose and peace. That's not weakness. That's elite discipline. So if you're waiting for a moment to forgive, don't do it now. Not because they deserve peace, but because you do. You deserve clarity. You deserve focus. You deserve to stop fighting ghosts and start building something real. Let the past keep itself. Let karma do its job. Let life deliver the consequences. You rise. Because the most powerful move is not revenge. It's not silence. It's liberation. And that begins with forgiveness. So now you know, karma isn't some mystical force floating in the sky. It's the natural law of consequences written in silence, enforced by time, and sealed by truth. And when it shows up, it never knocks. It enters like a storm, rearranges the room, and exposes everything. If you've ever been betrayed, used, or discarded by someone you gave everything to, you are not broken. You are just in the middle of your becoming, because the person who walks away from pain with grace, who doesn't seek revenge, but peace, who doesn't fight to prove worth, but walks forward with quiet strength, that person becomes untouchable. Let them think they've won. Let them smile in photos, perform for the world, or pretend they never needed you. Because when karma taps their shoulder in the silence of the night, it won't be your voice they hear, it'll be their own, whispering every truth they buried, every chance they ruined, and every good soul they let go. You don't have to fight back. You don't have to chase closure. Your growth is the loudest revenge. And if you're still standing, still building, still healing, still choosing peace in a world that profits off pain, then you